Hi everyone. So 2014 is finally coming to a close, and there's been some really great stories in science this year. There's been some great advancements in stem cell technology, there's been some really overly attached parenting, and we finally landed something on purpose on a comet. So I'm going to go through some of the top stories from 2014 in the science world, so sit back, relax and enjoy. So our first story is a wonderful advancement in medicine. For the first time ever, a woman with a transplanted womb was able to give birth to a baby. The woman was born without a uterus, and she got a donation of the womb from an elderly woman that she knew. And through IVF treatment, she became pregnant with a baby and gave birth to it. Now, the baby was born slightly prematurely, but thankfully the mother and the baby are both absolutely fine now. Now this is brilliant because women and people who are unable to have children before will hopefully now with this advancement be able to have children. Now next up is the NASA Mars rover Opportunity. An Opportunity was in the news this year because it broke the off-world driving record. Now what this is it's the record for the longest distance driven on a body other than the planet Earth, and it drove 40 kilometers on the planet Mars. Now previously the record was around 39 kilometers, but Opportunity surpassed it by a whole kilometer and is still going incredibly. And the really interesting thing about this is that Opportunity was only supposed to drive around 1 kilometer to begin with. It wasn't actually designed to drive very far, and it actually wasn't designed to last this long, but it just keeps on going and nothing seems to be stopping it. And as it's still going now, it's going to keep driving even further and further, hopefully breaking even more records. The Nobel Prizes went to some incredible discoveries this year. In physics, it went to the inventors of the blue LED. An LED is just a small type of light bulb, but it's much more energy efficient than normal types of light bulb, meaning that normal household light bulbs can replace these more energy efficient ones. In chemistry, it went to the people who improved the microscope, and they managed to make it about 100% better than normal microscopes, meaning people can study much smaller things. And in medicine, it went to the people who discovered the reason for our innate GPS within our brain, that sense of direction that we have. We're lucky this year to witness the first test launch of the NASA Orion rocket. Now this rocket is going to be used in the missions that are eventually going to take humans onto the surface of an asteroid and also to the surface of Mars. Now this is the first test launch. There's been a lot of preparation obviously designed beforehand, but this was the first test launch they've had. So it's really incredible to see what happened and also that it actually worked, which is really fantastic. Now NASA wants to put humans on Mars by around 2050, so you can expect to see a lot more news on the NASA Orion mission in the coming decades. Now many species of animal are really dedicated to their young, especially caring for them in their infancy or when they're in their eggs. But there's an incredible story this year that took this to a whole new level. An octopus was observed caring for her eggs for 4 whole years. Now for this entire 4-year period she was sat on the eggs, keeping them warm and protecting them, and also didn't seem to eat during this entire 4-year period. This story is really incredible because we don't expect animals to care for their young for this long, especially when they're in their eggs, and also she didn't eat for this long, which is a really incredible and truly amazing thing. One of the biggest stories in astrophysics this year was the potential discovery of gravitational waves. So gravitational waves are waves that travel through space distorting it. They stretch it and they squash it as they travel through. They come from things such as black holes smashing into each other or stars exploding as supernovae. Now the BICEP 2 instrument and the team behind it thought they discovered signs of gravitational waves, which we haven't had before. But there's some complications, and potentially we think that maybe the signal was confused with dust in our own galaxy. So we're not really sure if this is truly a correct discovery, but lots of work's being done on it to confirm it either way. One of the more interesting stories this year came the discovery of the remains of the English King Richard III. Now, he was killed in 1485, but it was only this year that we found his remains buried underneath a car park in England. Now scientists tracked down the descendants of Richard III and they did some DNA testing on them to confirm without any reasonable doubt that it was the remains of the English king. What's really incredible is they could study the body. They found out how he was killed by multiple stab wounds, and they also did some research into his body and into his lifestyle and found that he had things like a curved spine. It's incredible to see how far science has come. One of the incredible stories in astrophysics this year was the discovery of a large body of water underneath the surface of Saturn's moon Enceladus. The Cassini probe, which has been studying Saturn and its moons, went by Enceladus recently and studied the gravitational pull of the moon and also the way it interacted with Saturn. And it determined that there was some large body of liquid underneath the surface, and scientists suspect that this is water. This is incredible because large bodies of water haven't been found much in our solar system other than on Earth. And potentially we think that water is needed for life. So potentially there could be life in this large body of water underneath the surface of Enceladus. But there's going to be a lot more work need to be done to confirm whether this is true or not. Another incredible story for medicine this year was a man who regained the ability to walk. Now what the doctors did was they took cells from his nasal cavity and some nerve tissue from his ankle, and they used this to repair his spine, and he was able to walk again. This is a really incredible story because it means that people who have damaged spines may be able to walk again using these kind of procedures, and we may be able to give movement back to them. So we come to our final incredible scientific story from the last 12 months, and of course it has to go to ESA's Rosetta mission. A mission that took a decade to reach the comet 67P before orbiting around it and studying it. It then sent Philae, small lander, down to the surface to study the surface in more detail. But of course, we probably all know the story that it didn't manage to hook onto the surface but actually bounced a kilometre away. And it actually managed to finally reside into a small kind of ditch on the surface and did some science before it finally ran out of power. And hopefully it'll wake back up again as it gets closer and closer to the sun and gets more and more sunlight. This is a really incredible story of an achievement of man being able to send something onto the surface of a comet and studying it millions and millions of miles away. So there we have it, 10 of the more interesting scientific stories from the last 12 months. There are many other stories and discoveries, but these are just 10 of the best ones I managed to pick out. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my videos from 2014. This has been my first year doing YouTube videos, so I'm looking forward to doing more and more in 2015. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. Leave some comments. Why not leave some comments saying the kind of really interesting scientific stories you heard about this year that I didn't cover. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all in 2015.